right, very nice. It looks like we're recording. So, Matt, welcome. How you doing?
Great art. I think we made a terrible mistake in having Patrick on for our last episode. Not because we obviously want Patrick here, but if we had waited to bring Patrick on the show, it would be this whole thing like, does Patrick actually exist?
Right. No, we keep talking about that. Our girlfriend in Canada, and swear she's real. Yeah, but it is too bad. Yeah, so obviously everybody's probably figured out he's not going to be here tonight. So, and that's okay, obviously, for now. TikTok, Patrick. But I thought I would kick things off before we get into explaining anything and having people just sitting here wondering what's on the screen.
Sure.
I had a little bit of Black Lodge trivia for the Black Lodge trivia night.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I was wondering if you would want to take a crack at it.
Absolutely.
All right. So this one might be a little easy, but I thought I'd just throw it out there. So the actor who played Bob.
Okay.
His name is Frank Silva.
Okay.
He was not hired initially to play Bob. What was he hired? What role was he hired for? And as a bonus, how did he get the role of Bob?
I feel like this is something I've heard before.
It's one of those like legends of the show. That's why I wasn't sure if it'd be a little easy.
Okay, I have two guesses. So he was hired for like a role. He wasn't hired for like stagehand or something like that, right?
Do you want hints or do you want?
Yeah, give me a hint. Give me a hint.
He was not hired for an acting role.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's nice. That's kind of where I was going with it. Was he just like a custodian on the set or anything like that? Like part of the cleaning crew or anything?
Nope. He was a carpenter. No, not really. He was a set dresser.
Okay.
On set. And so, yeah, that was what he was actually hired for. And now the bonus is, how did he get the role of Bob?
Was he messing around like crawling over the couch and then David Lynch saw it and that's what it was? That would be my only guess. I have no idea.
No, it's actually kind of a cool story. So when you're on set, especially when you're on location and somebody's getting ready to roll, you might be doing something, but you don't say, hold on, everybody, I need to get out of the way. Everybody hold while I walk across the room. So a lot of times you'll just have to like duck or crouch or crawl under something because they're about to roll and you're standing there like an idiot. And so apparently what happened was he ducked off into a corner, but there was a mirror on set that caught his reflection.
Oh.
And when David Lynch was watching the dailies, he's just like, oh, look at that. I like that. And then he sort of took a look at the actor whose name I think was Robert Silva. What did I say it was? Or something Silva. And he said, yeah, we're going to make you Bob. And that's how he got the role. He was caught by accident in a reflection in a shot, and David Lynch liked it so much he kept it.
I love it. And so we're going to venture into spoiler territory here. Like if you don't know who killed Laura Palmer, like this is a big spoiler. Unless you live in the UK where it was, in the pilot.
Told. Yeah.
I guess my question is, and I won't overtly say it, was Bob an existing role at the time that happened, or was it like, oh, that's a cool thing to add, let's mix this up?
I want to believe it was the latter. Like I don't know if that's a good question. I don't know if Bob was always a piece of the puzzle. He must have been, right? Like you can't just rewrite.
Was he? I mean, I guess he wasn't. Bob wasn't the killer.
Right, in that sense, yes.
But he was, I don't know. Okay, I get what you're saying. I'm just curious. I wonder how much that influenced the story. And also getting renewed for a second season, I think, obviously influenced the story a significant amount to try to stretch things out. But no, I did not know that. That was not what I was thinking at all.
And I hope that's true. But that is, because I feel like I have one of those like, books about the making of Twin Peaks. I feel like I've heard that story from a couple different people. So I'm just going to say it's true.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Was
No one
that?
does their independent research anyway, so it's
No,
all
this is
good.
the internet.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, yeah. So with that, I think I feel like I'm kind of iffy on these trivia questions. The first one I forget the answer to. This one, I'm pretty sure it's true. But anyway,
Yeah, you can
so
just convince everyone it's true. Just you're confident in it. Like, yeah,
yeah, do the back with the hand gestures.
yep.
Um,
Sheriff Truman was David Lynch's real life son. True fact.
absolutely. He was on the grassy knoll. Yeah.
Not related to President Harry S. Truman, of course. That'd be too much of a coincidence.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so tonight, again, we're down Patrick. So we thought we would, instead of getting into our usual rotation, we would try another one shot. But I want to give everybody out there a heads up that I have never run this style of game before, and I'm not 100% sure I understand what I'm about to do. So apologies in advance.
Yeah, this is a very rules light game that we're about to start playing, which, Dark Space Between the Stars was also very rules light, but this is like a pamphlet
Yeah.
and it's very rules light on even just when to even use the dice and things like that, which is great. I mean, I think that gives you a lot of wiggle room, but sometimes having too
Right.
much room, you need those
Well,
guidelines almost.
before we get into it a little bit, and I haven't even explained what the game is, but I'll say that in a second. Given its rules light nature, do you think it could have benefited from a little rules heavier?
I don't know if it's rules heavy as much as, and look, we haven't even played this yet. I've just read and done a little bit of prep and imagined my character art's going to be Jimmy tonight, and I'm going to be playing a character. Just a little maybe reorganization or a little bit more overtness.
Okay.
And I don't think you have to add a whole bunch of rules. It's just when there's this trend in rules light design to be extra rules light and to go style over substance. And I think there's some really cool substance here, but sometimes I think you just need to come out and say, this is when you roll dice. And
Right.
this is how you get an edge, because some things are explained in the pamphlet rulebook, some things are explained on the character sheet. It sounds like I'm already sour in this game. I'm not at all.
No,
I'm
not at
actually
all.
very excited to play this.
Yeah.
It just
yeah.
was it wasn't as intuitive as some other designs I played or read. But
Right.
that being said, I'm still very excited for this.
Okay. So I guess that's a good time to introduce it then. This is, it's called Cyberpunk, but it's spelled CBR+PNK. You can see from the, and it's from cabinetofcuriosities.games. I found it on itch.io. Probably I'll stick all the links or whatever in the notes for this video. But so it's Cyberpunk. It's a sort of forged in the dark game, much like Long Dark Space Between the Stars. From what I can understand, it seems like it's a little more involved, but that might be good. Now, I see we're going to be using Foundry. This is the Forged in the Dark or the Blades in the Dark module.
Okay.
I've sort of, I see you're in. Did you find your character sheet?
No, I don't have one available to me.
Okay, so let me make you the owner. So hopefully that comes up for you. Okay. So when you open it, what you should see is a form fillable PDF.
Yep.
So I didn't figure out how to like custom character sheets, whatever. So I found this PDF, and it hopefully will cover what we need. Now, as far as die rolling goes, if you look on the left side, there's like a series of, if you're on the token controls, like the top, the little person, the second column has a Forge in the Dark roller. I mean, that is one way to do it. The other way is if you just go straight to the bottom of that leftmost column, there's a dice roll.
Sure.
That's how I was, you just enter the number of dice. The trick we're going to have with this, and I couldn't figure out how to implement it, was sometimes you need to have dice that are distinguishable from one another. And, like in Alien, they have the stress die, it's a different color. They have the gear die. I couldn't figure out how to do that. So we might have to sort of figure that out as we go.
It might have to do 2 rolls,
Yeah, it
2
might
or
be
whatever.
just as simple as that. But so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing tonight the starter mission that actually comes with the bundle on itch.io when I pick this up, and it's called Mind the Gap.
Oh, okay.
So if you look on your character sheet on the far right, it sort of gives you a breakdown of how you make your character.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hold off on that just a little bit, not much, just a little bit, because this scenario, which is meant to help introduce the game and introduce new GMs, wants you to sort of start with a little bit of background and then you go into the character generation.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
So with that, let's get started. I'll start some music just to set the mood.
Oh, baby.
Again, you can always turn down playlists and such. And so, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing, it's a cyberpunk game, and you know this, Matt, already, but I sort of have a homebrew sci-fi RPG setting that I'm running things in, and I'm just going to add this to the quote-unquote pantheon.
Sweet.
So the setting is inspired by GDW and now Mongoose's 2300 AD. It obviously takes place in 2300 AD. The game is pretty wide in scope and setting. For my purposes, I've confined everything to our solar system. So I sort of call it Sol, like our sun is the SOL, Sol 2300 AD. And part of that setting is there's a city in, I think it was in Gabon, Africa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that country right, but it's in equatorial Africa. The city is called Libreville, and it's the world's largest city. The city has become massive because it's the location of a beanstalk up to orbit. That's sort of the main space elevator for the planet Earth. The city is huge. It's sprawling, sort of closer to the water. Is sort of what you would expect. The richer areas, the corporate areas. You get a little bit further out, there's something called Mudville. Mudville sort of came about because as Libreville was building the beanstalk and building all the infrastructure to go with it, population, workforce, everything exploded. But when that started to go away, when that slowed down, people were sort of left stuck there and they became impoverished. So there's sort of a very clear haves and have-nots in the city of Libreville. So that's sort of a basic thing. But otherwise, it's a pretty typical like cyberpunky expanse kind of setting. But let's get this started. And let me pop this up on my end just so I can read. Okay, so...
And if I'm just staring off into space, we're doing a little bit different tonight because Art is sharing directly from Foundry, and he's put all this work into it. I'm trying not to pop into our streaming software. So if I'm not like making eye contact or my eyes are like way up there or something like that, it's just because I'm listening and I'm staring at Foundry. So anyways, proceed.
No problem. All right, so let's see. Okay, so let me think for a second. And again, I just want to apologize in advance because I've never run anything like this before, so let's see what happens. You open your eyes. You're sort of trying to regain your senses. You feel concussed, discombobulated, and you realize that a flashbang grenade has just gone off. You take a moment to figure out where you are, and you realize that you are in a monorail car. Through your blurred, hazy vision, you can sort of see the number 18 for car 18 up on the wall. The far side of the car, a door opens, and in walks a half squad of Rebco SAR mercenaries. Now, Rebco SAR is a sort of a corporate mercenary group. The SAR stands for Search and Rescue, but they often are tied up in much more nefarious plans. And they seem to be sweeping the car, weapons out, looking for someone, and you get the sense that that someone might be you.
Oh.
What are you going to do? So Now that we do that, I think now that we've sort of established, what are we going to do? They want you to now get in a little bit to the character creation.
Sweet.
So again, if you look at the character sheet, it goes right down on the top page. It's sort of a list on the side.
Mm-hmm.
You got your handle, you got that. Next is enter a few evocative words to describe your look.
Yeah, so I'm going to be playing Bent. And Bent is very much, and we talked about this a little bit beforehand, for fans of Tokyo Ghost by Rick Remender. Dent is this super muscly badass as a kind of a counterpoint to the other character in Tokyo Ghost. And so that's what I'm thinking. And for me, I imagine like just jacked, big, meaty, towers over people. Just looks like a guy you don't want to mess with.
Perfect. All right. Okay. So you want to type a few words in for descriptor?
Yeah.
Beefcake, all man, doesn't skip leg day.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. So then the step 3 is you risk it all for a reason. What's in it for you?
That's a good question. I had an idea with no little background, but I'm wondering if this changes it. So I'm gonna say get out.
Okay. Now, an angle in this game is a way to. So as I was saying, it's sort of a forged in the dark. So you're going to have a dice pool. You roll the dice pool. If you get a 6, you get a success. 4 or 5 is a qualified success. 1 through 3 is a failure. If you get double 6s, it's the only time that multiple dice matter. Usually it's just your highest one, but if you get double 6s, it's a critical success. So that's basically the mechanics of how you play. The question is how you create those dice pools. And you just marked your angle as get out. And somehow that is a way to add to your dice pool. And I'm not 100% sure how. So we'll have to figure that out. So that's step 3. Step 4, assign a 2, a 1, and a 1 in any order to 3 of your approaches. So your approaches should be on the second page.
Yeah, so the 2 is definitely aggressive. I will say he's big and brutish and muscular, but he probably he's maybe not very diplomatic, but he probably does have a decent charming personality. Like if you get to know him, maybe he's a big teddy bear. And I'll probably go, I'm gonna go smart for the other one.
Okay. I guess, yeah, stealthy might be tricky given your...
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've done that, it says distribute 8 dice over your skills. To assign an expertise, spend a 3rd die in a particular skill. Or write the expertise down aside. So let me take a look. That should also be on the second.
Yeah.
So you can see you get 2 dice, but if you want a 3rd die, you can pick an expertise and type that in.
Okay, so definitely let's just start going through them. I'm going to put a point in Streetwise for sure. Just like, any kind of character in a good cyberpunk story, like the odds are against him. So he's a little bit of a street rat. I've got an idea of like what keeps him down. We'll see if that comes up. Definitely close combat and athletics are getting 2 points each.
Okay. What did I say?
That's
8
3.
total?
Yeah, 8 of them. I will take 1 into piloting. Like he's got a motorcycle that he never has all the parts for, but he's pretty good at it when it is up and running. That's why he's on the streetcar, maybe.
Nice.
He's not terrible at ranged combat.
Okay.
He's decent at analyzing situations, so hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me in the ass with not taking the other things, but that's what I think about him.
Cool. All right. So that's step 5. Now step 6 is body modifications, which is going to be, I guess, the augmentations. So this is kind of interesting. I kind of like the idea that it's sort of just name it and then we'll figure it out kind of stuff, I guess. So if you want to pick a signature augmentation, go ahead.
Yeah, how many am I taking here?
Now it says, let me see, body modifications. Define your starting signature augmentation. It's singular, so I was guessing one.
Yeah, and then oh, that's right. Then you can kind of say like, oh, I also have this. So the one I have in mind is definitely augmented strength.
Okay, cool.
And it's not constant. It's like almost like Bane-esque, but a little different. Basically, he turns on the tap, and it gives him augmented strength.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Now, does it have like a reservoir, a certain number of uses, or is it just sort of something that we don't worry about that too much?
It does, and the gimmick here is, and I'm going to take it a little bit different than what happened in Tokyo Ghost, because he more or less had to watch a certain type of material, which I kind of like. It's paywalled, and I'm broke, and so when I want to use it a bunch, I have to like watch an ad. And I'm stuck to it. Like it's an augment and it's awesome when I can use it, but like maybe I've got one banked up or something like that. But if I'm gonna tap it multiple times or in succession, then like enjoy this 30-second ad.
Oh man, so it's like hulking out but Candy Crush or something.
Exactly. Or I can pay, but
I wish we could.
You're right.
Yeah. All right, that's perfect. All right, and then next,
and like one thing, maybe it's like it's a 30-second hit at a time, and so maybe I do have some banked up, but then it's like once your 30 seconds up, it's like there's a counter agent that like it's not a slow fizzle, like bam. I don't know, something like that.
That's perfect. All right, and then step 7 would be not picking your gear. So we might be kind of basically done with character creation, which is one of the great things about these systems. So now if you look on the second page, there's a load gear section.
Yep.
And it says during the run, you may declare gear on hand up to the number of items equal to your load level. So I guess you get to sort of pick what your load level is. It just depends on how mobile, how stealthy you want to be. So I was assuming it was just sort of, you just get to pick and choose as you go. Like if you keep picking more equipment,
and then you kind of adjust like how loaded out you're on. Okay.
I guess. Yeah. What do you think?
So I did see that before, and there is no indication on like how. I think it's just a cumulative thing. Like when you start out and you're like, if I was breaking into a building, I'm like, oh, I've got this, cyber deck to get in or something like that. Or I'm trying to find someone I have a tracking device, and I mark it off. And then like the more and more stuff I take, I think it changes and adapts over time.
Right.
Is how I took it, but
yeah, I did as well. And I wasn't sure if it was just one of those sort of nebulous things where we say, okay, now that you're like heavy for your load, maybe this is an extra level of difficulty or something. That's the only thing I could.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that I think is the end of character creation.
Sweet.
And so, what was I saying? You sort of were concussed and discombobulated, waking up in car 18 of a monorail, right? That's what I was explaining. So all of a sudden you hear psh, 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 and you realize you have an earpiece in your ear, and you hear Dent. Dent, are you all right?
And I guess real quick, not to. Normally, I try to watch the language, but with Cyberpunk, I'm just gonna let it fly. So here's your content warning, not for like awful stuff, but I'm gonna be dropping F-bombs and whatever else, pretty loosey goosey in this setting.
Smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, exactly. And so, oh fuck, who is this?
Dent, this is your operator. I'm getting signals that a concussion grenade has just been detonated in your monorail car. Are you all right?
Yeah, I can confirm that. What the fuck? You know why Revco Sar would be here?
You need to exit the car immediately. And then he says, do you remember your mission?
No. And as he starts to get up, he hits a dosage on the strength augmentation.
All right. He's like, do you see a package next to you? 22.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like your mission is to take that package to car 22. Which direction are they coming from? And they're coming from the lower number cars.
From 15. I think I can get there.
Okay, so yes, your mission, as I've said, is to get that package to car 22. And you need to move now.
Hang on. And as they start sweeping and as he gains his senses and as the strength dope hits, he just charges the back of the door into 17.
Wait, I said you're an 18 and you're going...
Oh, sorry. I wrote down 16. Oh, yeah. So I just charged 19.
Okay. All right. So yeah, as you're walking, you see the Repco Star, they're sort of trying to do a sweep. But, it's a crowded car. Maybe there's, standing room only in some ways. And so they don't quite see you yet.
Okay.
And as you start making your way towards the higher car, you come across a door and the door is electronically locked.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to ram that door.
Oh, you're just going to run through it.
Yeah,
okay.
That was he's not even thinking. He just hit it and then
just charges. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, let's figure out how to do I guess what I should be doing is I should be setting timers. That's how these games work. So what I'm going to do is or a tracker, I'm going to set a tracker. I guess it'd be a clock for open door. I'm going to make it a 6. Now, out of curiosity, I have no idea if you are able to see that tracker. It's in the character sheets of all places. And there should be a folder, hopefully tracker, open door. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think what happens is I think I can sort of fill it up.
Sweet. Yep.
But I don't know how to undo it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're going to start. So you have a 6 pi tracker to deal with. And I guess now we sort of try and form a dice pool to figure out how it works.
So he's gunning for the door, and he's the first. When it doesn't, usually maybe it like beeps as you approach to indicate it's going to open up, and when it's bom, bom, he just picks up momentum. And so when we look at the building the pool here, like definitely an aggressive approach.
Okay.
Using my athletics, and I'm going to say I'm probably using my augment as well.
Makes sense. Okay, so to activate an augmentation, you have to take a stress. So next to augmentations, you'll see a little stress track.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks like you only need to mark 1.
Sweet.
So go ahead and mark 1. So then I guess in this kind of... Have you ever played like these kinds of games, like for real, like Blades in the Dark?
No, just what we played last time.
Okay, because I'm kind of wondering, do I need to have like a countering timer for the guards to sweep the car? It seems like a race of sorts, right?
Yeah. The only thing and maybe you're just... That's a good question, because I think it only touched on like going up against certain types of enemies, like how they react. Like if it's just a normal person, like it's all in the hands of the player. If you're going against someone elite, then it's a little bit different. I don't know. It's a great question.
You know what? Let's just wing it. Okay, so we've got your aggressive, I assume, athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And how many do you think you would get for augmented strength? Is it? Let me see if it's.
Well, I think you tell me, right? Like,
okay,
like because you tell me like how much effect I can get.
Okay. So let's say this. Let's say it's normally 1, an extra die, but if you sort of push it, like if you double tap it, it'll give you 3, but it'll cost you 3 stress.
Whoa.
No, it'll cost you. Let's say it'll cost you. Well, no, pushing is 2 stress.
Yeah, it's 2 stress to push it.
Maybe I want to give you a better bargain than that. Maybe if you push it, you get 4 dice. But if you, I have no idea. So this is part of the problems. I don't know.
No, that's all right. So I'm at 4 dice to start, right? Because
Yeah.
approach plus skill. They got 4 dice there. So like 1 tap on the augment strength probably maybe gives me 1 more die.
That feels right. Yeah, but then if you, I want to give you extra for pushing it, not just a 1 for 1.
I don't know if I'll push it.
Okay. All right. So I guess we're looking at 5 dice.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to go to the roller and just
5 dice.
Yeah,
coming
see
out.
what happens. Yeah.
Oh, I saw a 6 there for a second.
Oh no. Okay, so you have limited or partial effect. Now this is my inexperience. I mean, I need to look up how many that fills in. Because this is this is part of the thing I didn't quite understand. So they tend to be like this tends to be like a level 2 effect. So it's going to be so I'll give you 2, but something goes wrong.
Okay.
So what would you like that to be?
I probably threat escalation. Like I just tried to bulldoze through a door, and so they're kind of confusion as to what the target is. Like maybe now they know who I am.
Okay.
Like it's abundantly clear that the guy trying to bull rush through the door is maybe the one that they should be after.
All right. Okay, so in that case, usually it starts at a level 2. So like this then would be a level 3.
Okay.
If you wanted to try it again, but I guess if you fail, a level 3 is going to have higher consequences.
Right. Yeah, if you fail level 4, it's fatal, right?
It can be fatal. Yeah, we'd have to sort of figure out the type of damage you take. But yeah, do you want to try again?
Before I do, like I'm looking around. Is there like an outer walkway through like a window? One is the train car moving. I haven't even processed that yet. Let's start there.
Yes. You see it's you see the night skyline outside of downtown Libreville, brightly lit, the neon you'd expect.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're moving pretty quickly.
Okay, so I'm not going to try it outside. Yeah, now I think he just like, it's partial success. So maybe the door's like buckled a little bit. So now he's, plunging his hands in there and he's just like, and now he's trying to split the doors apart.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, why don't you give it another shot?
Okay. So I'll take another. I probably am still riding the same hit if you're cool with it.
Yeah. And I'm looking at like edges. Like, do you want to see if you have some kind of piece of gear or something, some kind of environmental thing to help you out?
That's true. So I didn't take. That was another thing that was a little unclear, is gaining edges, which I think is like if you took an expertise. Like if I took an expertise in athletics, then I could have gotten some edge. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So if I have any gear.
So yeah, if you want to name some gear, that might have helped.
Yeah. Looking at the. I don't know if he has any gear that helps with this. I'm going to go 5 dice again.
Okay, cool. Let's see what happens.
There it is. There's a 6.
All right, so you're going to get 2 more with no downside. So yeah, you see that the guards, they're still making their way through. Maybe they thought they saw somebody that resembled you, so they sort of pulled, hey, you, and got him up a little bit, and they took a moment to realize, nope, this isn't him, sir. And, as that's going on, all of a sudden a voice comes over the intercom, the PA system.
Dear passengers, please get through car 12, not 22. 12. Dear passengers, please get through car 12, not 22. 12.
Get to what in car 12?
It's sort of scrambled.
Oh, okay.
Dear passengers, please get the fuck through car 12, not 22. 12.
So that voice comes over the PA while you're trying to bust open the door. And yeah, so, you know, the guards are definitely getting closer, but they're about halfway through the car. And what would you like to do?
Yeah, so he's gonna wedge himself in between the doors, which are like partially open, and now he's gonna use his legs. But first, he gets on the comms and he's like, "Can you confirm 22? And quickly, please."
Yeah. So as you start to reach out, you know, sort of the voice, you know, scrambles a little bit, and says, "Yes, yes, that is car 22. That is car 22." And for a brief moment, you start to think that the voice on the PA system not only was sort of scrambled and saying something weird, but for the life of you, you feel like you recognize that voice.
Ooh. Okay. So I have a familiar voice over the PA system that's scrambled sounds like it's saying something about 12, not 22. And then I have some kind of controller, like handler, in my earpiece confirming that it's 22.
That's correct, yes. And
Oh.
while he's confirming it, that's when the idea popped into your head that you recognize that voice.
So he wedges himself in between the doors and he's about to like use the last bit of strength that he's getting from his augment to kick this thing open. He's like, fuck it. And he drops down and then he starts charging to the other side of the car.
All right. So,
and if I'm going through the Repco SAR agents, I'm buckling down, dropping my shoulders with the full intent of steamrolling these guys, which are gonna like, with this boost going on, like I'm moving with a good amount of force is my hope.
all right. So I guess in that sense, it's okay to cancel the tracker, right? Because we're going to be moving on to a different task.
Yeah, I'll maybe like challenge you and say like we should leave it at 4 to 6, and I'll write that down because like now the door is like buckled open where I could get my body in between it. Like,
Okay. Open door to, I'll put down to car 19 from 18. Okay. So yeah, we'll leave that one there and let's start up a new one. This is another clock. This is, let's see, Kosar Squad. And let's make this.
So, one thing that I will point out, and I'm not saying don't do this, not everything has to be a clock.
A clock, right.
Like some things are just like one roll and then you're through and then whatever. But if you obviously you have the thing and stuff, you know what's going on.
That's actually because of the adventure.
Okay, cool.
So otherwise, because it gives sort of like clock numbers for certain groups that you might encounter. So okay, so yeah, we're gonna call it a 4. You're charging through them. We're gonna say they haven't caught on to you yet, so whatever you do, let's just take an extra die for that somehow.
All right. Are they like in my path directly? Like I'm gonna make contact with them no matter how I do this?
Well, let's see. Do you want this to be like a double layer card? Do you want to be able to go up or down? Do you want to collide into them?
If it's like one car, then I want to like clothesline them and try to at least take as many of them down and knock them down as I go by. I mean, they're going to notice me as I go by them, unless it's some of the car can maneuver. But again, I'm not very stealthy. I'm Bane in the middle of a street car.
Right.
And pulsing.
All right. So yeah, go ahead. And I mean, I feel like it's going to be aggression, athletics. Let's say you still got a hit from your strength. Or do you want that to have faded?
No. I think this is like the last one because he was going to use it on the door, and then he's like, damn it, and started going the other way.
I guess actually this would be aggressive close combat.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And then take 1 for strength, take 1 for surprise. I don't know if that's a real thing, but let's do that.
And he's got the okay, let's do that. Sure. So 6.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So you're halfway through. The first people you collide into, let's say it's like a couple of people. You do as you said. You sort of totally clothesline them, and you're able to get past them. They don't slow you down at all. Because of the 6, is that enough to? You have a crowded train. You have a good success. Is that enough for the rest of the group not to notice yet, or do you think?
Oh, I think they notice now.
Yeah.
I
okay.
think. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And how many of them are there? You
there
said
were-
half a squad, right? How many?
Yeah. So about 5 in my head. That's what I was thinking. So let's say you took out the first 2 or 3.
Okay.
And so there's 2 left, and they're sort of starting to get an idea of where you are, but they haven't quite gotten their guns up yet.
Okay. I would like to pick up. Let's say I'm gonna try to pick up one of the. I'm gonna be running low on my strength augmentation here, though. So I check my credits on my strength augmentation.
Mm-hmm.
What do I see? Like, do I have any left, or do I have to watch an ad?
Well, what I'll do is this. One of the mechanics for stress is a flashback. So if you want to take a stress,
Oh yeah.
I'll say that you can use that flashback. Yeah, no, actually, I did put some money on there. Or I'll let you avoid the stress and watch an ad.
Well, I don't think I would watch an ad right now. But
No, we're locked in. I'm sorry.
And this is a great time to hear from our sponsor, Bed Mattress Headphones.
Exactly.
And Hims Underwear. Yeah, we're not sponsored by Hims
No,
yet.
we'll take that dick pill money. But
That's right.
Yeah.
Sure, let's do it. So, he has he always watches an ad to have a charge, but he's also banked one credit ad free for emergency situations. He knows it's that crisp honey you keep in your wallet for emergency situations. This is it. So he always has the ad one, and he tries not to watch the ads. They're completely corrosive. Right. And because of the augmentation, they pump when you watch an ad, and it's an ad for happy dogs. They pump you full of serotonin and stuff. So it's not just watching or filling out a YouTube survey. There's side effects, and people get addicted to
interesting.
Accumulating these ads for whatever credits they are. So to the best he can, and Dit's completely a junkie for the strength augmentation. He does try to limit how many ad things. Anyways, I'm gonna say he does have one. I'll take the stress.
Okay, cool.
And he pops it.
All right. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to make you tell me which squares have stop signs in them as a CAPTCHA. No, I'm joking. You ever see the CAPTCHA checks where you have to?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Which ones have traffic lights? Which ones are buses?
Yeah,
it's basically teaching AI how to murder us in the future. But okay, cool. So you take the stress, and we're gonna say you have a hit. So go ahead. We're gonna give you the bonus dice for that.
Okay. And so what I'm doing is I'm picking up 1 or 2 of the 2 guys I took down, and the 2 guys that are left, I'm throwing 2 of these guys at them.
Nice.
On the move. This is all on the move. I mean, this is crazy strength stuff I've got.
All right. So I'm seeing again. You want that to be close? I mean, it doesn't matter. Close combat or athletics.
Let's go. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Combination of both. 1 and 1.
Yeah. So we're gonna lose this stealth because they know you're on there, but you get aggression, close combat, and 1 for strength. So you're looking at 5 dice.
Okay, 5 dice coming up. Oh, I forgot to hit roll.
Nice.
Oh, baby.
Critical success. Boom. Okay. Yeah, let's say not. You tell me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with, so critical, you get like an added extra benefit. So I'm assuming this knocks them down,
Mhm.
and it also like just puts me. It's all in stride, so I don't have to even like stop to pick these guys up. I clothesline them and they go flying back like 4 feet. And on the run, I pick them up by their belts and I fling them forward, and the hit is enough to like really just incapacitate everyone, even just like stun them for a second, whatever. But I do it without losing a step. So by the time all of that's even settled, I'm through them and I'm at the door, or
Nice.
through the door or whatever.
Now, obviously, they were packing, let's say, some kind of submachine gun weapon. Did you want to arm yourself? Are you armed in any way? Did you want to grab what they have?
Oh, that's tempting. Do they have bioscanners? Like, is it common for them to have bioscanners that would like prohibit me from using them?
Good question. Normally, do you want to be able to try and hack that?
Oh no, he wouldn't be able to. His way of
okay.
hacking it is ripping the bioscanner off and hoping it works.
You want to try that?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Let's say, do you want to try ripping it off now, but we'll see if it works when it's time to shoot, or do you want to know now if it works?
Yeah, let's do the former. So he picks one of the submachine guns, skittering across the floor, and he scoops it up, and he just like, he sees it's like bam, it's glaring red, and he just punches the screen and reaches in and like grabs all the electronic bits, and he just, and then he's at the door.
All right. So I'll tell you how we will do that when the time comes. I'm going to let you do aggressive streetwise. And it's not going to be a clock. It's not going to be anything like that. It's just the level of success determines whether the gun fires at that moment.
Okay.
Does
Nice.
that seem okay?
Yeah. Sweet.
All right. Okay. So aggressive plus streetwise. Let me write that down. Okay. So you two guys are knocked out. Other two guys are on the floor. They're not getting up anytime soon. There's total pandemonium starting to erupt in the train car. So it's actually making, so they're like, the guards are starting to get stepped on. People are getting trampled. People are trying to get all out either way they can. And so what do you do?
Is there a window into car 18? Can I see what's happening in car 18?
Yeah. So,
because they came from 18, right?
well, technically, yeah, this is all semantic. Technically, you're in 18, but they came from 17.
Sorry. Yes.
So yeah, let's say like a typical, you can sort of see, I just blocked my mic. So you can sort of see like a window into the next car. And it seems like that's relatively calm, but you see people towards the door are starting to get an indication that something's going on.
So there's no other Repco SAR agents in 17?
Doesn't seem like it, no.
Okay. So does the door open?
Yes.
Okay, so I open the door and I straddle the two cars.
Okay.
And I pull out like my trusty crowbar. Just seems so lame, but I guess he's got a crowbar or some kind of pry bar or something like that, and maybe it's like a lead pipe he's fashioned one in to be like something he can jimmy down in, and I'm gonna try to decouple car 18 from 17.
Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I guess that would be aggressive. What athletics?
Maybe streetwise. It's not the best outcome, but
Right.
streetwise or analyze, like just looking it over if I can even do it.
Yeah, that's a good question because I feel like brute strengthening this might not be the way, but it'd have to be like a technical decoupling. Does that make sense in a way?
Okay. If that's the, I mean, he would prefer to brute strength it, but if that's not the case, then yeah.
It's hard to say because let's try brute strength. So let's do an analyze so you can figure out how to do it.
Okay.
So
like
analyze
aggressive plus analyze.
Yeah,
For a combo of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try that.
3 dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that would add to it, do you think?
The crowbar for one.
Oh, right. Yeah. So let's, what do you want to make that, like a 4?
4.
Okay.
Partial.
Tell me how, tell me. Tell me what that means to you.
What does a partial decoupling look like? That's a good question. Maybe it's just like there's still like I get the decoupler unconnected and I wedge it in there and it pops off. But without any kind of braking, and maybe 22 is the back of the car or something like that, or maybe it's not, I don't know. Maybe there's like enough momentum that all the other valves and hoses and whatever are enough to like keep it chugging along. Like there's a gap between them, but it's still pulling it along with at least a weak connection maybe.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, so yeah, it'll definitely be trickier for anybody trying to get between the cars significantly. And all of a sudden you hear through your earpiece your operator come in. Shh, Dent, what are you doing? You're going the wrong way. I see you traveling towards car 17. I need you to get to 22 as soon as possible.
Yeah, what? Can you repeat? And he hears it like perfectly clear.
Nice. And as you are talking to him, you see in car 17, you see there's a teenager sitting in a seat, and she has headphones on. She's definitely listening to music, and she looks like she's sort of mouthing the words, but her mouth is just moving very slowly. So you don't understand, like, who would, maybe there's music like that out there, but it just seems like whatever she's doing, she's moving at like half the speed as everybody around her.
No one else is doing this, just her?
No, everybody else just sort of like looking at the paper doing it, but something about her seems really a bit off, and you sort of get the initial sense of it because you're watching her mouth and it's doing this, and it sort of throws you for a second.
I think he chalks it up as fucking kids and their synthetic drugs and just keeps trucking along. It's very interesting and he's concerned about it, but I don't think he has time to
right.
to mess with that.
All right. Yeah, and so as you're sort of running through, all of a sudden the PA system comes back on.
The use of firearms
is prohibited inside the vehicle.
The Transmetropolitan Monorail
Company, thanks for your compliance.
Okay.
The use of firearms.
So yeah, it's sort of just that voice that sounds familiar, but all of a sudden breaking through is what sounds like a man's voice, and you're not quite understanding why the two of them are there.
Do either of them sound familiar this time?
The woman's continues
just
to sound
the
familiar.
Woman's.
Yeah.
Okay, so the woman is telling me that firearm use is prohibited, and the man is saying thank you for compliance.
Correct. Yes.
He chucks the submachine gun out an open window.
All right.
I'm gonna keep trusting this voice, whether it's good or bad. Something about it.
Right. Sounds good. Yeah, and so yeah, you're into car 17. You've just ditched the firearm you picked up, and I think when you came through the door, do people notice that the cars are sort of dangling bizarrely? Does it seem like anyone notices in your mind what you've done?
No, I think they're all looking at me. I'm like mid augmentation, which is like a visible effect. And also like they notice the flashbang in the car behind them, and Repco are coming from this direction unless they like came across the top and then dropped down or whatever. But
Right.
surely at least the people in the back of the car heard the flashbang and probably screaming and thudding and the hulking brute. So probably not. And
Okay.
I do like shut the door behind me.
Okay. All right. So in this car, yeah, you sort of see that girl. You sort of see. You see, as you go further into the car, you see what looks like a person talking on a phone, sort of like some kind of comm link. But for a brief second, they don't have any face. And then you sort of double take, and when you look again, the face is there. But for that brief moment, you saw someone sitting without any features whatsoever.
Okay. I guess he says out loud either to the comms or to no one in particular, like, is this a fucking training exercise? And he's starting to like second guess whether this is even reality.
Okay. And do you reach out to the operator?
Yeah, I mean, he says it out loud, so the operator definitely heard him say it.
Okay. And he just goes, shh, Dent, what are you talking about? And why are you still going the wrong way? Shh, I need you to get to car 22 with the package. You still have the package, right?
Yeah, he's got the package.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear, at least. So why don't you turn around and start heading in the right direction?
Yeah, but what's going on? This kid's tweaking out on something, and someone just didn't have a face. Who are you?
He's like, Dent, I'm your operator. I've been hiring you for the last. How long do you want him to say you've been working together?
Dozen years, probably.
Okay. Like, look, man, we go back, almost back to the beginning.
What's in car 12?
I couldn't tell you. Our mission is to get that package to car 22.
So he walks up to the person that didn't have a face and gets like right up in their face and I'm totally looking him over now. Like now it's becoming suspicious enough that he's like, he'll waste a little bit of time on it before he moves on to car 16, but.
Okay. Yeah. So he sort of, he's like talking. And then he's like, do you need something, bro?
He just kind of snarls a little bit, heavy sigh, and just, and then I guess he just keeps moving.
Okay. All right. So you're starting to head towards car 16 still.
Yeah, car 16.
Okay. So yeah, you get to the door, and again, looking through the window, you notice a couple of things. You see another Rebco SAR squad starting to sort of come through the opposite side.
Ah, shit.
Now, this one's only like 3 or 4 guys, so it's a little less than before. But, it's almost like they're sort of touching their earpieces because, they're getting the call that you've busted through. And they've been incapacitated to some degree. So what would you like to do?
I want to open the door and go on top of the train if I can.
Yeah, sure. Why not? So you let's now, in your experience, would you just say yeah, or would you do like an athletics roll and see how it goes, like running a sort of PBTA game?
I would probably let it happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like the bad thing of like if you fail it, like what am I doing, falling off the train and dying?
That's
I don't know.
true.
I imagine like a fit guy, like someone like that, could get up there. But if you also, on the other hand, like if we're going like supersonic, or not supersonic, but like
it's
we're
pretty
going,
fast.
like, then I may be tempted to do it. No, tough call.
Actually, you know what? Let's do a roll. Let's do athletics, aggressive. Okay. Give you a bonus still from your augmented strength.
Okay.
So we're looking at 5 dice. Yeah. And clearly I won't be like, yeah, and you died and we're done for the night.
Mm-hmm.
But
5.
So, but I think it could be interesting how the result is mixed. So obviously you're up top, but is there something like, is there a tunnel coming up? Is there, what could happen that would make this
what's the
tricky?
consequence for a partial?
Yeah. What are you feeling?
I like the tunnel idea, or maybe it's not a tunnel. Maybe it's just like a bunch of signage or advertisements or some shit like that. But some kind of obstacles coming up that I need to clear this car or get down or something like that.
Cool. Okay. So do you want it to be sort of like you got to run across the car and get there before you do, or do you just want to like hit the deck and you can't move?
If we're moving pretty fast, I guess I'm hitting the deck.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you're sort of let's say you're like Mission Impossible, laying prone completely flat against the roof of the car. And as you're doing there, you're sort of stuck for a moment, kind of just watching. There's nothing you can really do except for watch.
And it's a tight fit for Den too. Like he's a big boy, so.
Ah, true. That's a good point. So a couple things you're noticing is obviously this is cyberpunk. There's going to be advertisements everywhere. And you're noticing that the advertisements definitely seem like, typical ads for Coca-Cola, Atari, Pan Am. But they all seem to involve the number 12. So they're just, for some reason, like the number 12 seems to be like, new price for Coca-Cola, $12.99. New, the next Atari game coming out, $12.12. You're sort of noticing that kind of detail that's sort of jumping out at you.
I'll just say, all right, I get it. Well, he just kind of calls out, 12, got it, on my way.
Right. Cool. So yeah, so you after a moment the sign's clear and you're able to, you have clearance, you have head clearance again. If you wanted to keep going.
Yeah, he hurries up, not sprinting, but a quickly, but maybe a little cautious approach as he runs forward up the train.
Cool. Yeah. So let's say you get to the next junction. Do you want to stay on top or do you want to drop down?
Stay on top. He'll jump.
Okay.
He'll try to jump over.
Okay. Yeah. So give me another roll. Let's say while you were laying down there, the augmentation wore off. So maybe it's just 4.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, like there's, no more signage. There's no more nothing. You're just able to cross to the next car. So you went from 18, you climbed on the roof of 17, you just climbed past 16. And so now the operator's like, shh, Dent, seriously, what are you doing? There's a lot of money riding in this job. Where are you going?
How much money? Like 12,000 credits? 12 credits?
He's like, what? No, it's the usual fee, 500. What are you talking about?
A dozen?
and he's like, Dent, I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you not sticking to the job? What's going on?
I don't know, man. Something's calling me. And then he drops down. While he's talking, he'll drop down to the walkway between
15 and 16?
15 and 16, yeah, because it just got to 15. And he peers into 15.
Okay. And inside 15, it seems like it's pretty clear.
Okay.
But as you're going through, you hear...
Today is a good day to ride. Today is a good day to ride.
So yeah, you sort of, again, you hear this woman's voice that you think you recognize. And the guy's voice doesn't cut in this time.
And she said today's a good day to ride.
Yeah, it sounded like ride, but it seemed like something cut out, and you're not sure if you heard ride or die for a quick second.
Oh,
but
of course, nice.
But you think it was ride.
Okay.
So yeah, so you're into car 15, and you're not noticing anything in particular in this car.
Okay.
But outside the windows, you see the advertisements for Atari, Coca-Cola, Pan Am, and you're like, I could have swore that was the stuff I just saw when I was on the roof.
Oh. Does the city landscape look the same? I understand some like maybe the advertisements are like stabilized, so you always see them even if traveling at high speeds. So maybe the landscape's a little bit of a blur, but does it look the same?
It seems like you haven't gotten any closer. So yeah, that's sort of throwing you off a little bit.
Okay, so at this point, I think with a little bit of space between me and the Repco Sar, hopefully, I'm gonna pop down and take a seat, and I'm gonna take the inside seat of someone who's like sitting on the outside seat. So like I'm gonna step over them and sit down.
Okay.
And what I'm hoping to do here is take a breather.
Okay.
And then also he'll go into his augmentation, and before he does this, so there's something else he wants to do. He's gonna turn on an ad.
Okay.
For his augmentation.
Sure.
But before he does that, he turns to whoever he sits down next to and be like, "Where's this train going?"
And he was like, theater district of Libreville. And then he's like, you didn't know, you got on a train, didn't know where you were going?
Yeah, I'm trying to find my way to car 12.
And then he just sort of points up and very unhelpfully says, 15.
Yeah, and where's this train going?
It's going to the theater district of Libreville.
Yeah, and which way is car 12?
And he points towards car 14, and he just sort of points up again and says, 15.
What's your name?
What's my name? What do you care?
All right. He'll turn on his ad.
Okay. And you said you wanted to take a breather.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a mechanic. So and it says on the first page of the character sheet, you describe how the fiction provides you with a chance, which you've done. And so what you do is you roll the appropriate approach. If you bring out your angle, add a die, or if you deplete appropriate gear. We're not really depleting gear. So, but your angle is get out. Is there any downside to deploying your angle? Did you get like debt or something? Is that what happens? That was something I didn't quite understand.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know if I don't know if I can deploy the angle here. I mean, the ads are like brief escapes based off the shit they pump into you and stuff, but I don't know if that's necessarily gonna fly. I think I'm just rolling smarts here.
Okay.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like there's any skills.
Great. Yeah. No skills. So just one dice.
Is there any gear? Like, do you crack a cold one? Is there any gear you want to give yourself in this circumstance? Is it like a quick, like a little mini rebreather that's just like oxygen or I don't know.
Yeah, let's do something just so we bring it in. What would he find like some? Yeah, some kind of stimulant like that kind of offsets the chemicals that come with the ads.
Okay. So yeah. So I guess we would need to mark a load. So you're up to 1 now.
Yeah.
And we don't know what that is, but somehow you maybe it's like you crack something. There's some vapor.
Yeah.
And then just
something that's like highly illegal. Like it offsets some of the psychedelic psychedelics or like effects of watching an ad through whatever augmentation device you're watching, and they're illegal, but you can kind of crack them to not fall as victim to them.
All right. Sounds good. So that means you would add a die for that. You get a
Okay.
die for the smart, and it's a roll in 2d6.
All right.
Nice. Very nice.
Nice.
So a single success means you either clear 3 stress or ignore harm penalties, which you don't have any at the moment. So I guess you would clear stress.
Sure.
So this is going to be fascinating listening for the listeners. I should have checked before we started, but timing wise, you want to stop at the normal time?
Yeah, we can do that. That's probably
Okay.
a good idea. We can
Okay.
go a little bit later, but yeah.
I didn't know. That was the thing. I didn't know how late you wanted to go. But okay, that's good to know. Okay, so yeah, so you take your breath. You had your breather. You got rid of the stress. You've reset your augmented strength because you watched an ad, but you've offset the hit that your brain takes, the dopamine hit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you like to do?
Well, he's marching up to 14. Before he gets up, he says, "Hey, where's this train heading again?"
And he says it's head to the Libreville Theater District.
And he just keeps answering the same way. He doesn't like react or.
Yeah, he just says heading to the Libreville Theater District.
What's your name?
What do you care?
Interesting, buddy. Enjoy your ride. I'm sure we'll get to that theater district in no time.
Oops, moving this around. I just want to stop moving it. Okay. Yeah. So you're in 15. You're gonna start heading to 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, there's nothing standing in your way. You open the door to 14. You pass through the threshold, and when you pop out, the first thing you see is the guy you were just sitting next to, and you realize you're still in car 15.
Hey, buddy, what car are we in?
And he points up and goes, 15.
All right. I step back out and I go to climb back up on the roof.
Okay. Yeah, let's do another roll just to see if there's anything that we could throw in there narratively.
Okay. So.
What did we say it was? It was athletics, aggressive.
Yeah. Should be good. 4 dice.
Yeah. Okay.
5
yeah, let's
partials.
think about a partial success. What do you think?
You want to do the same thing or do you want to mix it up? You got some in mind?
No. I mean, we could do like suddenly you see the signs pointing to 12 again if you wanted to loop, but if you wanted something, whatever you want.
Are they the same signs?
They seem it's
They
Atari,
seem to be. Yeah.
Pan Am,
Okay.
Coca-Cola. Yeah.
So he hugs the deck. It's becoming a little bit familiar now.
Yeah.
And he pops up and he counts back as he moves from 15 to 14 and hopes to clear the gap between 14. Once he lands on 14, he counts back to make sure that he's on car 14.
Yeah, it seems like based on your calculations, yeah.
All right, then he starts lugging forward to with a little hurry, pep in his step now. He's moving up to 12, 13, and then 12.
Nice. All right. So as you are sort of getting from 14 to 13, again, you hear the operator like, seriously, bro, where are you going? You know, we're putting 500 credits on the line. You're going to throw away a whole job?
500 credits. I bet we could probably get 12 times as much.
He's like, Jesus Christ. Sure. We could ask, but how about we get the job done so we can put ourselves in a position to request that?
Oh, I think I've got a contact up here, or maybe the bathroom or something. Just let me do this first, and then I'm sure we'll get to 22.
And then, as you're sort of cutting him off, he's like, who the fuck has a contact in a train bathroom? And then like click, you're just like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, right. Dent does, baby.
That's right. All right. So you moved from 14 to 13, and as you get up there, you suddenly see another figure climb onto the roof of a train. And he looks like he's got a uniform on for Rebco SAR, but he doesn't seem like a typical grunt.
Okay.
He seems like a specialist of sorts, if you will.
Okay.
And he sort of stands up on the train and and he's like, sir, what are you doing?
Oh, Just needed some fresh air. You know, those trains get so stuffy. So figured I'd come out here and strut my stuff. You know,
He's like,
didn't
sir,
want to bother anyone.
sir, do you realize you're standing on the roof of a moving train?
Yeah. You know, I like to stay fit. It's a little less boring to walk inside. I feel like I'm never getting anywhere. So I think I'm really making progress now. I'll be right past you. I'll get down. I won't be in your way.
Sir, I'm going to need you to get down off the train, please.
Sure. Can I just step forward one car and then hop down? Would that be great with you?
He's like, sir, don't come any closer. And he starts to reach for a sidearm. I'm going to need you to stop.
Whoa. And he Dent starts doing this like, here, take my hand. I need your help.
All right. So let's, let me, whoops, did I do this right? Are you seeing a possible timer for a Rebco-SAR operative?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so so you're trying to get him to take your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to, let's try a roll for that. Now, what would you think?
Empathetic, just to get him to fall for it. Influence makes the most sense, but maybe streetwise as well, just to get the other dice.
You want to try streetwise? Yeah. Now, again, is there anything, do you want to push it with stress? Do you want to do a flashback? Do you want to...
I'll push it.
You want to push it? Okay, I was going to say, or is there some piece of equipment that could aid in this? But yeah, okay. So, so it's going to be 2 dice for the skill and the approach, and then 2 more.
One more for the die. For the push, I mean.
Oh, there's only 1 for the push?
Yep. 2 stress to do it, but 1 for the push. So 3 dice?
Yeah, 3 dice it looks like.
All right.
Oh, critical success. Okay, so you wanted him to take your hand.
Uh-huh.
And what did you... Man, what did you want to happen?
Yeah, as soon as he takes my hand, then it's just yeet off the train to the is what he's going for.
That's what he's going for. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I was going to try to get him off the train as soon as he takes my hand.
Okay. So let me just double check the rules, because I think there's never... This is the sort of standard for this system. Like, I'm usually never rolling anything, right? I just leave it up to you. But I thought there was times when you had like a race where you can have competing opposed tracks, but I don't want to do that. So let's just say he's sort of, you've gotten him to start going off the train, and he's trying to grab you.
Okay.
And we'll do sort of one more roll. So he's starting to fall off the train. And he's trying to save himself by grabbing you. So what would you like this roll to be?
Yeah, so I grab him and I start to then like take his arm and like kind of an arm drag to like bring him across, and then with his other hand as he falls, he grabs the rail. And so then with my right hand, then I swing down to just like pummel the shit out of his left hand that's holding on for dear life.
Nice. So I'm hearing like aggression, close combat kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I think I have the jump on this guy, so I'm not popping my strength.
Cool.
So I'll
Sounds
roll
good.
4.
Okay. So you definitely, he's going to fall off the train. He's going to be gone. But what is the sort of partial success aspect of it?
What's the consequence here? That's a good question. Maybe he reaches out and takes my... Oh, I forgot to mark crowbar on my...
I guess that would...
And maybe he grabs... Like, he reaches out to grab onto anything, and he grabs onto, like, my tactical belt or something like that. I guess when I have a crowbar on my tactical belt. But he grabs my crowbar. Maybe I'll lose my lead pipe crowbar.
Okay.
Mishmash thing or something like that. I'm thinking like I lose a piece of gear or something like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, let's say you lose a crowbar. You lose your crowbar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the notes on your character sheet that you lost crowbar.
Okay.
But yeah, so that would have been like your second piece of extra load, right? Is there a crowbar?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, so he goes off the side, you know, he screams briefly, but you're moving so fast that the sound gets lost barely as it comes out of his mouth. Yeah, and what would you like to do?
Yeah, then I'm moving forward, hopefully up to car 12.
Okay. Yeah, because that's where you were, right? You're trying to get to car 12? Okay, so yeah, as you drop down between the doors, you hear the operator come in through your earpiece. He's like, seriously, Dent, this is your last chance. You're going the wrong way. Our contact's wondering what's going on. He's waiting for you in car 22. Where are you and what are you doing?
Well, I'm actually almost in car 12, which I think you know, and as soon as I'm in there, I'm sure I'll turn around and start heading that way. I just had to clear a few things out. Trust me, this was better for everyone.
Car 12. Why do you keep saying 12? Are you
Let's
actually in
find
car
out.
12 or are you having a psychotic break?
Let's find out. And he goes to pull the lever on 12.
Okay. And as you open the door to car 12, it looks like any other normal car, but, you start hearing, you hear the voice coming.
We will reach destination in minutes. We will reach destination in minutes.
What's the last part of it?
It's saying you will reach the destination, and then it seems to cut out,
And
then it just says minutes. So you're not quite sure how long you have until you get to the Libreville Theater District.
Yes.
But more importantly, as you walk into the car, again, it looks like, people are starting to look confused. They sort of have been hearing things. Maybe they heard footsteps or, there's a lot of extracurricular activity going on in this train. But something's really off. The commuters all sort of they all turn and look at you. Like every single one of them in the whole car just spins and looks at you. A couple of them flicker. A couple of their faces swap. And all of a sudden the train starts to suddenly go down. And you find yourself floating like 0G because you're like falling. And at that moment, you clearly realize that this isn't actually the real train to the theater district in Libreville. This is a virtual reality simulation that you've been a part of. And you see that the package that you're holding suddenly starts to come to life and develop like legs like a spider. And sort of grows in size and sort of, because it sort of has like these spider qualities, it's able to sort of clasp to the wall, and like all these like tendrils and things start to come out and reach for you. And I figured we would stop there. It's sort of the normal stopping time, but I know, I don't know if we wanted to continue this at some point or,
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know so that's not the end, is what
that's
you're
not the end. No. I was looking at this adventure and it's designed as a one shot, but some one shots are like 2 to 4 hours.
Right.
And so I wasn't sure how long this would go. And I figured, we might have another opening soon if it's just the two of us, or something, we could finish it up. But what I will do is I will stop the music. But yeah, I mean, what did you think overall so far?
I like the idea. I think having this as a one person it's designed for more. I get the feeling.
I think so too. Yeah.
And I think there's just a little ambiguity in how some of the things work, or maybe how they're intended to work. And again, it's rules light.
Yeah.
It's almost the same. It's kind of like the same problem we had with Long Dark Space Between the Stars. Is
Mhm.
you kind of roll the same thing over and over again, and
Mm.
that's not a bad thing. But if I'm just being like nitpicky,
Right.
right? Like it's aggressive in athletics because I'm going to power through everything, and that's the character I made, right? Like I didn't make
Right.
them well rounded to do it.
Right.
But as far as like storyline and stuff, it's great, and I also like the mechanics aren't getting in the way. Some of it
Yeah,
is just
yeah.
ambiguity that will go away the more we play it, but the game isn't stepping on itself either. What about you?
So this is the first time I've ever run anything Blades in the Dark PBTA at all.
Uh-huh.
And I was noticing what you're just describing, because you give total narrative control in a sense to the player is going to pick the path of least resistance in a way. And
Sure.
so I could see, but at the same time, you are forced to narratively explain how you're, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So I appreciate that even though the player is probably going to do that because it makes sense, they're sort of incentivized to, at least you still have to think of narrative reasons to do it. And
Sure.
I mean, I guess that's the fun. And I guess part of why I was excited to try this is because, in our first Damn Fine Coffee, I was talking about running a Le Carré story, and one of the options was a PBTA option, and I was kind of curious to see it in action.
Yeah, and this isn't straight up PBTA. They're
That's true, yeah.
similar systems that have some kind of lineage that I think no one will ever know unless we were around on that was all from those dark cesspool of forums that are no longer around, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a 1-for-1, right? But it does have that same mechanic where your successes and partial successes are going to have different narrative
Right,
complications, which I love.
Mhm, yeah,
I think
yeah.
having this concept of partial success is great. So
And I think PBTA has the idea of moves, and this seems to have approaches, so there's, I don't know if they're sort of analogous or not, but in my head, not knowing much of either, they seemed like parallels that could be drawn.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, like a move in PBTA and an approach here, I guess they're both so broad. Like a move will never, or probably won't be, like shoot a gun. It will be something that incorporates shoot a gun as well as stab someone, or whatever. That's a bad
Okay.
example, but the move will be some kind of description that accomplishes a wide range of tasks, and it's how it'll be like, oh, that sounds like you're attempting to form a bond or something. Like a lot of PBTA have a lot of different ways to advance like relationships or something like that.
I see. Okay.
And so then you'd be like, so and so is doing this and they want to try to do this, and then it's like, oh, through your approach it sounds like you're trying to do this move or something like that. So there is similarity, I think. But
Cool. Okay. That's good to know. I'll have to keep, I think I'm still leaning in a different direction, but I was curious to see. I don't know, if you had to, what would you like this approach, this sort of, this approach to a spy game, or do you think you'd more traditional, or is it hard to say really, not having? I
think it's hard to say. I like both. I mean,
yeah.
In my mind, like my first instinct when thinking spy game is I'm like I lean Call of Cthulhu,
right?
D100, just because of the amount of like skills you have. But you can have like really robust playbooks.
That's true. Yeah.
In Rust Hulks, I think has a very tons of moves you can pull off in that game, which is like that's like Firefly-esque.
Okay.
Game that I've read but have not played. And so I could see it working just as well too, like having a good mix of moves, and then the partial success could be really interesting in a spy setting, right?
That's true. Yeah. And that was actually one of the things at one point when I first looked at Fate, that was why I was looking at Fate. I'm looking at my shelves. Because I liked the idea of it's not the same partial success, whatever, but the way you sort of collaboratively sort of determine elements to the setting, the immediate setting that you can then play off of, role playing narratively, whatever. And I thought that was an interesting idea, but anyway, it's just something to think about now. And I do appreciate that you were willing to give this a shot, especially with somebody who's a complete novice.
Oh, I mean,
running
that's
this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you did a fantastic
Oh,
job.
that's too
I do
kind, but
like
yeah.
no, I mean, really, I find a lot of fascination in these rules light things.
Yeah.
They're not always bangers, but there are some really absolutely great ones. And more importantly, I think with a lot of these is like what role playing mechanics isn't the right word, but practices like they pull out,
Right.
which I think is a neat reflection as well. Like, what does this game cause you to think about? How does this game cause you to role play with such a small, 8-page pamphlet?
Such a tool set. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say the one thing that I do enjoy about this, I do feel like it has the potential, from what little I've understood so far, of really capturing like a cool cyberpunk game. Because I like the idea, like if you do the traditional story building, you sort of ask a couple of questions, and the idea is like you start just like this, sort of in media res, like a flashbang just went off, your run's going south, and just go. And I think that's a good. And I think the rules say you sort of figure out your approach, you sort of develop some kind of little bit of a plan, and which is, I guess, is probably a little Blades in the Darkish, but I do like that idea because I feel like it fits well with how sometimes I picture a cyberpunk.
Well, it also, I think, gets, going back to getting out of the way of itself, it gets you right in it, and then you can use those like flashback mechanics to, like, you don't have to, if you're doing something where you're pulling some kind of job, there's going to be planning involved, and maybe you don't want to do a bunch of planning. You can just use those flashback, and then if you want to role play the flashback, if we had multiple people and we're like, oh, before we went on this job, we negotiated or bribed this guard to let us in, whatever, then you can go role play that in a flashback if you really want to, or something like that. So it does have potential for real meaty role play, and while capturing the cyberpunk elements by just being so broad, you can bring in a lot of those different things, which that's cool.
Yeah. Cool. And part of this tonight was I was trying to calculate I was like, maybe we can get it all done in one night, and I calculated it very poorly. Because I was trying, and I wasn't pacing it to get through in one evening. So, but if you're cool at some point, I think in the relatively near future, there might be another session where it's just the two of us.
Yeah. I think the next one up is the two of us, unless you, but yeah, I think on the 15th, we'll have a chance to
would you
go back to this.
Would you want to just wrap this one up, or do you feel like you've gotten it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what kind of hellhole I'm looped into and what's going to happen, for sure.
All right, cool. Then, thank you very much. And, again, for those out there that are watching or listening, thank you for jumping in and joining us. And, we'll pick this up relatively soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Art. Thanks, everyone, for checking out the show. Spread the word, do the like, subscribe, and whatever, all the other nonsense. But yeah, awesome.
All right. Have a good night.
See ya.
The music during the RPG session in Foundry was provided by the Foundry module Tabletop RPG Music and composed by Ian Fisher. You can find his Patreon at www.patreon.com/tabletop RPG music, all one word.